Talofa lava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuiki. E haere ake nei, tributes are pouring in following the death of Fiji's Acting Director of Public Prosecutions. Also,
when they see me, they get that immediate, you know what I'm going through.
a Tongan male nurse speaks on breaking stigmas and stereotypes in his role. And later,
I was always third or fourth, or even fifth.
we chat with a Kiwi sprinter who's raising funds to compete at the upcoming Pacific Games. Fiji's Attorney General has confirmed the Acting Director of Public Prosecutions, David Toganivalu, has died. Sido Mituranga says it's a big loss to the nation. It's unclear what the circumstances were that led to his death. Sido Mituranga says he's remembering a man who was humble from a family that has served Fiji very well.
I've been advised by close circle of friends that is the truth. I am currently in Melbourne and I'm shocked by the news. I'm terribly shocked by the news. And it's just, I was visiting some of our employees from Fiji who are working here in Melbourne. And I check on my rubber messages from close friends and confirmed passing of the acting DPP, Mr. David Toganivalu, a very close friend, trusted friend, servant of Fiji. And I'm shocked. And it saddened me, deeply saddened me.
When I'm writing the story, what would you like me to capture? How would you like me to describe him and his service to Fiji? As you remember him, and many others will be so sad right now.
Yes, I just had a meeting with him last week in my office. Prior to that, we were attending the workshop together for 2 days. He's a very loyal, so very humble, because he comes from a family that has served Fiji well. So Toganivalu family comes, they are chiefly family of a Masau, well respected. And I'm just lost beyond words what has happened. Just like in the presence of Fijian employees, about 50 of them, I received the news, and some of them shared that. So we offered a prayer. We offered prayer when I saw a confirmation, and it's a big loss for the nation. You also understand that all of us do chart our own ways, but it is the Lord who commands everything. And we want to thank the Lord for his life and his service to Fiji.
In line with traditional protocol, friends and family will not be speaking out just yet. However, a former leader of opposition and paramount chief, Rote Mumuvuikawa Kepa, has sent her condolences. In a post to social media, she says the death is a tragic loss to her surviving mother, siblings, relatives and friends. Papua New Guinea's Communications Minister, Tim Masiu, wants to usher in law changes to protect copyright for the artists and designers in the country. Our PNG correspondent Scott Waire told Don Wiseman what's concerning the minister.
So he's talking about a better representation for artists, musicians, and the protection of their work. I guess the bigger problem that Papua New Guinea needs to solve are, one, the counterfeiting that's happening within the fashion industry, where the work of Papua New Guinean artists are taken and then mass-produced by foreign-owned businesses within the country. So that's like a big concern for artists in fashion and fabrics and all that.
Can you give us an example of the sorts of things you're talking about?
Yeah, so there's a Kokopo-based entrepreneur named Enet Sete who's championed this fight against counterfeiting of her products. So she produces prints, Papua New Guinean prints, and she's built up a business around that. Now, what happens is other businesses are taking her prints, reproducing them, or making copies with slight variations to them. I've seen copies of her work where they've basically taken the fabric, scanned it, and then reproduced it as a fabric, mass-produced out of China, of course. So that's been a big problem for her. She's taken the businesses to court, various businesses. She's tried to clamp down on the smaller businesses that have mass-produced her work. So it's been a struggle for her trying to contain that illegal business. Now, the laws do not necessarily protect the artist who is the owner of the product, the original owner of the product, and that's been the weakness of the law so far. You can have it mass-produced, but to go through a legal process knowing that your rights will be protected is a bit difficult, and smaller businesses just don't have the money to fight long, protracted court battles.
All right, so what is the Minister planning?
It's a very, very broad statement. I mean, in my opinion, it's a very broad statement. He's talking about legislations and protections of protection of artists, but that the nitty-gritties haven't been really explained. So it's like a move in the right direction, but it still needs to be clearly defined so that it gives confidence to the artists and the fashion designers, the songwriters, the producers, that the government will protect them in the event that their work is being used without benefit to them.
Now, last month, 29-year-old John Faukawha was awarded Young Nurse of the Year by the New Zealand Nurses Organisation. Faukawha is not your typical nurse, being a man of Tongan heritage. According to the New Zealand Nurses Organisation, just 4% of nurses in the country are Pasifika. Whina Whanua spoke to John Faukawha about his experiences and the challenges he sees facing Pasifika in the nursing space.
What's it like working in an industry that is stereotyped as only being an industry for women? Is there challenges that you face?
In terms of challenges, I think there's always kind of trepidation or intimidation when you notice you're kind of the only, and it's always quite nerve-wracking going into it and realizing, when you're on your placements or when you're in your study cohort, you kind of stand out as being the only male. Anything that was my own challenge, I never saw my gender being a barrier in a predominant female industry. I think if anything, I was actually quite well supported by that industry and had really good role models, and just very fortunate enough that it was care and guidance that my experience was being a male nurse in this industry, rather than the opposite. I've been very, very fortunate in my journey as a nurse being a male in this industry.
The New Zealand Nurses Organisation recently stated that Māori and Pasifika are underrepresented in the industry. 8% of the population identifies as being of Pacific origin, yet only 4% of nurses are Pasifika. Why do you think there's this underrepresentation?
I think most female-dominated organizations, there tends to be kind of like, people have these preconceived notions of it, and I think that's also one of the reasons. I also think the reason why it's really important to target Pasifika nurses, especially male Pasifika nurses, is male Pasifika patients. There's a huge kind of diverse patient group that we have, and there's not enough people to represent that cohort that we actually care for. So I think there has been a push, but I just think it needs to be in the right direction, and it's definitely much needed because with New Zealand, you still have a huge diverse group of population, and so you need your workforce to represent each of those cohorts. I would say the best thing about my job or being a nurse in general in the sexual health space is breaking down those myths, destigmatizing a lot of things that people have preconceived notions about sex, sexuality, and gender. So literally having those conversations, literally patients coming in saying, A, B, and C about sexually transmitted infections, and then just being like, oh, actually, this is the evidence I'm going to provide you. This is the education about it, and seeing them kind of soak up that information and then going out and doing differently than when they walked in. About a specific scenario is a lot of patients come in having an idea of genital herpes, and the worst thing about when people have genital herpes is they're so mean to themselves, and then coming in and us actually breaking that down, going, no, that is exactly not what it is. It's the most sexually active adults. 80% of them have genital herpes. It's very common. It's most people have it and don't know that they have it, and you can absolutely have relationships and be nice to yourself.
There's a stigma against diseases like this. Do you have to give them emotional support? What do you tell them when you notice this kind of shame or embarrassment?
Yeah. So it helps when myself being a Tongan Pasifika male, I think when they see me, they get that immediate, you know what I'm going through. You know what it's like. So one, that relatability, and also knowing that they are safe, that they're culturally safe, that everything is confidential, everything stays in this room, and just giving them kind of that, like, here, let's make a cup of coffee, breaking down those barriers between clinician and patient, so making them not see me as like an authority figure, but getting them to see me as working in partnership, rather than them working for me. So that we're working together. So just assuring that that they are safe, that everything is confidential, and that we'll be with them every step of the way, and that we also have like partners, like we have like non-governmental organizations and we're partnered up with Māori and Pasifika healthcare providers. So we have all these amazing partnerships with these communities that can absolutely kind of support them and help them so that they feel safe.
The Pacific Games are on the horizon, and one New Zealand sprinter is fundraising to get himself there. With the support of China and Australia, new facilities have been built for the Games in Solomon Islands, and others have been upgraded. More than 5,000 athletes and officials from 24 Pacific Island countries and territories are expected at the event, which starts on November 19th. Christina Persico spoke to Hayato Yoneto, a New Zealand sprinter paying his own way to the Games.
Why the Pacific Games? What's been your story to get here?
So I've been competing through sprinting for the past 5 years competitively. And last season I kind of had a really good record compared to the other years and managed to get myself into the national team.
How long have you been sprinting?
Pretty much 6 years, and then I've only had a coach for like a season and a bit when I came up to Auckland, because I'm from the South Island.
Mm-hmm.
From Little Queenstown, and there's no coaches there, so been sprinting myself and then sprinting with a team up here. Yeah, it was pretty good.
What led you to start sprinting?
Just pretty much doing athletics at a normal primary school meet, and always never came first. But I was always third or fourth, or even fifth. Yeah. And I just wanted to get first, so I started doing it, and I actually got some results, so it's pretty good.
What was your initial reaction when you were told you had made the Pacific Games team?
Yeah, I was obviously really happy. My overall goal was to eventually represent the country in athletics and sprinting, and when I got the message, I was really happy, and it's finally time, it's just got to get my things sorted and ready to go.
Yep.
In November, pretty much.
Do you know much about the facilities or anything that you'll see over there?
I know they've invested a lot of money in producing new facilities. Definitely the athletics track. It's their national stadium, and they've built a new track just for this upcoming games. So it'll be very good to have a new track, hopefully good conditions and good times with good competition, yeah.
So you're in the 100 metres, the 200 metres and the 4x100, is that right?
4x1 relay, yeah.
Yep.
So 3 events. We'll start off with the 100 of the event. There'll be heats, semi and finals. And then same goes to 200. They'll start once the 100's finished. And then the relays will be on the final day, I think.
Are any of those events a particular strength of yours?
I really like the 100 metres just because it's the shortest.
Yeah.
But, I do like the 200 metres as well. I think I've got strengths in both.
What's a little bit of your background? Where did you grow up? What are your hobbies outside of running?
So I grew up in Queenstown. I was born in Invercargill, down south. Went to primary school, high school, all in Queenstown as well. And then took sprinting around mid-high school. And other than that, I was always playing football. So football has always been like a hobby for me. And I still watch it to this day outside of sprinting, and I still enjoy being in environmental football as well.
So you are fundraising. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So this event that I'm going to, Pacific Games, is self-funded. so we're not able to get any funding, unfortunately. But trying to get a fundraising sorted with my Give a Little page. The overall financial cost for this trip is $5.5 grand. This includes all travel, accommodation, athlete village expenses and everything.
Do you have anything in particular you're looking forward to at the Pacific Games?
It'll be my first ever time being in like a games environment where there's various sports and different like athletes from different countries all together. And you'll meet them along the way, kind of thing. And yeah, it'll be pretty cool. I think looking forward to most like the culture of it, and also obviously representing the country.
That's Pacific Waves for today. To listen back, head over to rnzi.com/programs. We're also on Apple, Spotify and iHeartRadio podcasts. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, so fasoi fua.